fine.
How come you get a chair and a table and Dave has to stand up?
Because I like this better than standing at the podium and yeah.
Sorry, this is the podium for right now.
It's just a little more comfortable. Yeah. All right. All right. I'll start off just 53 man. Obviously, that's the hardest time of the year. You develop the relationships with the guys. The bonds relationships just with them every single day. And then you got to bring them in your office. You got to talk to them and tell them that they're not going to be one, of the 53. So that's always a tough time. It's probably my least favorite part of my job. But yeah, so we definitely don't take it lightly, and we're excited for the guys that made it, and the guys that didn't make it, that we didn't bring back to the practice squad. I know that they're going to have success in other places. So we're excited about the roster that we put together, our 53 guys and our 17 practice squad guys. We're excited about that. I think we have a really good young core mixed with some veteran guys that, are really good players as well. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. The roster, that's still fluid. We're going to be aggressive. We're still going to look at the waiver wire. We'll be involved in everything, whether trades, all avenues to make the roster the best roster in the NFL, and the most competitive roster in the NFL. So that's the goal. Big thanks to, the coaches. It was a great camp. Just like the training staff downstairs, Danny, Josh Hinkst, guys like that downstairs. I mean, they did a tremendous job. Knock on wood, the guys were really healthy. I think we're really in shape right now. Guys are looking good and fit. So I'm really excited about that. The scouts, they worked their butts off. They combed through all the preseason tape. They have, they're all responsible for teams, and they really worked their butt off. So big props to Jared Kirksey and Lee McNeil for kind of heading that group up and doing a really good job. Coach Canales, his leadership out there was really, phenomenal out there. The coaching staff in terms of developing players out there on the field. It's fun to watch, and you could just tell how much he enjoys it out there. So really excited about him and the coaching staff and the season moving forward. In terms of everybody knows we traded Adam Thielen. Obviously, it made a huge impact on this building. The people in the building, myself included, made a huge impact on the wide receiving core, the young guys. I think he set them up for success moving forward. Adam's just, consummate pro, a guy that prepared the right way, took care of his body, did all the things that you want an NFL player to do. And he was a great example for our locker room, especially our young guys, on how to do it. So he'll be missed around here, and I wish him and his family the best moving forward. With that, I'll open up to any questions.
Dan, when you look at the roster as it is right now, what allowed you to feel comfortable moving Adam Thielen going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose a receiver like Adam, it's a big loss. But at the same time, we're really excited about our young core of receivers. Jalen Coker is going to step into the slot. We spent utilized a lot of resources with XL, T-Mac. So, we have guys that we're really excited about. And I think that definitely made me feel more comfortable pulling the trigger and trading him.
Dave said
that you guys have been in constant communication with Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
What are those conversations been like?
Yeah, I was even texting with him last night. I told him I want him back here. I talked to his agent. I talked to him. We're in constant communication. Nothing's imminent, but we're going to stay in contact with him, and we'll try to figure something out to bring him back here.
Is it like a role is on the practice squad or 53?
I think, we're still trying to decide that. Hunter, I think, is thinking through things, looking at different options. So I think right now it's really up to him with what he wants to do. But we would definitely like to have him back here at some point.
Dan, obviously with your linebacker background, people are going to kind of highlight that position. Where are you at with those four guys, and why do you think you didn't make a move? Maybe on the waiver wire or per trade in the summer after Josie.
Yeah, I think on the waiver wire, I really don't want to make a move just to make a move. And I like our linebacking core. Trevin Wallace, the way that he's developing and looking out there, Roseboom out there, he's everything we thought he'd be, the smart veteran guy. He's got great instincts. So we feel really good about our two starters. And then Claude Cherilis, we've been developing him now for a couple of years, and he's making strides out there too. And then obviously we kept the young undrafted rookie out of South Carolina, Martin Scott. Really talented kid who'll help us on special teams. He still has to develop from a defensive standpoint, but we're really excited about him and his future. And then on the practice squad, we have Chris Barnes, another veteran guy, another veteran option that kind of gives us, a little bit of security on the practice squad. So if we need to elevate him at some point, we can elevate him. But we feel good about our core. That's not to say that we wouldn't explore something outside the building. We're always going to be looking, not just at the linebacker position, but we're going to be looking at every position and try to improve the roster.
Back on Adam, did you feel any pressure from him or his side for you to make that deal because of the homecoming and all that? And did that factor in your decision to ultimately pull the trigger?
I think no. I would say Minnesota called me and they asked about Adam. And me as the GM and as a former player, I like to be open and honest and transparent with the players. So I called Adam to my office and I let him know that they called. I asked him if he would have interest in going back there. He said that he would. Once he told me that, he was very intrigued, very excited of the possibility of going there and basically his career, ending his career where it first started, and that's where he lives too. He has a house. So I knew and I could tell that he was really excited about the possibility that might happen. I told him, I'd do my best to make it happen, but I'm not just going to give you away. We're going to have to get something, fourth round value or something that we feel for the Carolina Panthers is good, because you're a really good receiver, you're a really good leader. So we wanted to make sure that we got the compensation that we felt comfortable with before we did it. So I'm glad it worked out. It worked out for us. I felt like we got the compensation that we wanted to get. And at the same time, he can go and continue his career and end his career, where it first started. So I guess you can say it's a little bit of a win-win for both sides. Everybody's happy. But again, we will miss him. But I know our young guys are ready to step up.
What have you seen out of both Bryce and the receivers that are still here to make you confident to make a move like that at the time you did?
I think, you all have kind of been out on the practice field every day. I think when you see the way T-Mac works out there, when you see the way XL works out there, Jalen Coker, David Moore, Jimmy Horn, all these guys out there, we feel like we have a really good young stable of wideouts. that were mentored by a guy like Adam Thielen. So they're more mature than their age. And I would say even like they're more polished than their age too. And I don't see any reason why they can't go out there and step up and have a great season, and I have full confidence in them.
As a former player, are you more conscientious about sort of doing the right thing, but not doing the right thing by the player,
Yeah.
but being more aware of how that player may be feeling? And is that something is that a reputation that you do want to cultivate, that you are mindful of things?
Yeah, I know how they feel down there. I know what it feels like to be in that locker room, and I kind of put myself in his shoes a little bit, to where if I could end up, if I could play my last year to where it first started, I mean, that'd be kind of a cool thing. And, it's where I'm going to eventually retire and live. So, there's a little soft spot in my heart. But at the same time, it's a unique situation that I think I wouldn't do for just anybody. And at the same time, I'm also always going to do what's best for the Carolina Panthers as well. So it has to make sense for us, but there's different situations that are unique that, sometimes you got to have to step aside and kind of look at it at a different lens.
Yeah, Dan, talking about that, it seems like just what you guys were to get back was kind of what took a little bit of time, because there was some reporting that this was something that was coming up last week.
Yeah.
Was there ever a thought in the back of your mind, just like as excited you are with the younger group, just taking away a guy like Adam with that experience and now having to really lean on some young guys?
Yeah, I mean, there were times during the negotiations with Minnesota, like, I didn't think it was going to happen. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of posturing, a lot of, like, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that. So, it was a week's worth of negotiating and kind of going back and forth and probably hating each other, at some points. But, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt we'll miss Adam, but, I feel like our young guys are well suited to go out there and play really good football.
From a general manager perspective, what are you looking to see out of Bryce this year in terms of it being his third year and his progression? Like, what specific things are you looking at?
I would say just continue ascending as a leader, continue to develop the chemistry with the wideouts. It takes time to develop chemistry with wideouts and understand the way they move, the way they come out of their breaks, where, some guys attack the ball better downfield. Some guys are better when you put it in different spots. So I think the sooner that he figures that out and who's out on the field and, like, just gets that feel, the better off he's going to be. And, they're already making big strides out on the practice field. And again, I've full confidence that, the chemistry will come along pretty quick.
Can I follow up on it? And Adam, I mean, we saw it time and time again, third downs, fourth downs. He kept coming up with big catches.
Yeah.
It always seemed like he was the go-to guy when you needed a big play. Any concerns like having that taken away?
No. I mean, we have guys that can make plays out there. I mean, T-Mac's doing it every day. XL's doing it every day. Coker's doing it every day. Like, we have guys out there that we have full belief in. If I didn't think that, then maybe I wouldn't have traded Adam. But I have full belief in the guys that are here and our receiving core in general.
You're talking about the core being what you like the core. What do you feel about? How do you feel about the depth?
I feel like we're still building. We're still building that depth. And you know what? Like, we're never going to be content. Even when we do reach a certain height, we're still going to be looking and always trying to evolve and get better. So yeah, we're never going to be content. We're going to try to add depth everywhere. I think to go far in this league and to win against really good teams and to win in really tough environments throughout a long season, you do have to have good depth. So I think that we're building towards that.
Following up on Coker, what makes you so confident he's ready to step up, and will you scale back some of his special teams reps?
I think what makes me confident is, first of all, the opportunity that he got last year, he took full advantage of it. He was out there making plays all over the place, and then you see him on a day-to-day basis out there. Like, he's a baller. Like, he's a really good player, somebody that we're extremely excited about along with the other guys. And he wants it. He wants it. He wants to be great. The other guys, they want to be great. So that's why I have full confidence that they're going to be good.
The deal done with Timo. Can you take us through how long y'all have been working through that, and then why it was important to get that done?
We've been working through it for a little while. Even a little bit before, he got on the podium. But Timo, he's one of those guys that doesn't get talked about enough. He's consistently on that right side, consistently being great, consistently protecting the quarterback. Nobody pays attention to him because nobody's getting to the quarterback on that side. So, he's just a great player, even better person. I know that's kind of cliche, but he truly is, like, great guy, great player. He's everything we want in a Carolina Panther.
You've got two guys on the left side of the line who are dealing with either injury or coming off an appendectomy.
Yeah.
You also kept 9 guys, all who were here last year. How do you feel about this offensive line after watching them in camp and watching them in the preseason and potentially dealing with these 2 guys on the left side potentially not being there for week 1?
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but, there's the possibility that he does miss the first week. But, hey, we're in this business. And, again, going back to David's question, like, you have to have great depth in this league for situations like that, because sometimes things happen that you can't control. And when you have good depth, it can cover that up a little bit. So feel good about Yash, feel good about Brady, 2 guys that are more than capable of protecting that left side and making Bryce feel comfortable. So, yeah, not too concerned. We just always got to be ready and expect the unexpected.
Follow up on that. It's safety. You kept 4.
Yeah.
What's the plan there outside of Merrick, and how do you feel about the 2 young guys in the room?
Yeah, I think, alongside Merrick, I think we do have 3 guys that can go out there and we can play winning football with. Really excited about Ransom and what he brings out on the field. When Merrick and him are out on the field together, like, you can really feel an intensity and a toughness and a physicality that they bring out there. So, yeah, we're really excited about Ransom. Damani's made strides. He's got really good ball skills. And then Nick Scott, he's been in this defense forever. He knows exactly where to be. He's a really good communicator, really good leader out there on the field. So we have guys that are more than capable of playing winning football.
Going back to Taylor's deal, now that that's done, just kind of looking at the rest of the line, Icky, just based off of how you guys went about things with JC and with Derek the last 2 offseasons, potentially to be up for an extension kind of next offseason. You also look at some like Austin as well, maybe what could be situationally there. Yeah. How does Taylor getting that done kind of help you guys kind of plan forward, looking at that position group in particular and just some other deals that potentially you might have to make?
Yeah, I think, you feel like getting Taylor done, like, you feel like that's another hole that you really don't have to address, the following season. So it definitely, it feels good to get him done and not stress out to try to have to find a starting right tackle next year. And then just going back to contracts in general, like, I think when you perform around here, and I want the locker room to know that, is when you perform around here and you do things the right way, you're going to be rewarded. And that's just going to be our philosophy around here. Now, there's always factors to where maybe you don't have enough money or stuff like that, but if at all possible, we're going to pay the guys that do things the right way and play football at a high level.
And what was the reason you chose or went with Fitzgerald over Matthew Wright? It seemed like Matthew had better outings during practices. And then following up, is Fitzgerald the week 1 starter?
Yeah, Fitzgerald, to answer your first question, he's got an extremely strong leg, and a guy that I felt was getting better and better every single week with the kickoffs, the placement, inside the 20. So you just kind of saw him starting to get better and better and better every single week. He performed really well in the game, made one field goal, but he made it and, made it by a mile. We just think he's a really good player that we can grow with. Will we take some bumps? Will there be some bumps in the road during the season? Potentially. But I think a young guy like that with talent, you're willing to grow with. And, I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
During the draft, you had a few scouts speak with us about their experiences of scouting some of the draft picks. You had 3 undrafted guys make the team. Who was like the point person on Bam and Corey during this offseason?
I don't want to call out names, but I would say our staff is extremely tight knit, really good communicators. Our scouts do a great job of identifying under the radar guys with traits, and we're always looking for the trait people. So Bam Martin Scott goes undrafted, but he's 6'2" and some change, 230 pounds. He's got 33 and some change arm. Same thing with Corey Thornton, like super long, super physical, smart. So our scouts do a really good job identifying those type of guys because they know that's the type of guy that can play in our defense and potentially, keep developing and become a starter at some point.
Obviously known Dave as a coach for years, but specifically as a head coach, how have you seen him progress over this past year?
I would say Dave's the same guy every day. I don't know that I've seen like any like thing that stood out that he's just like gotten better at. But he's trying to get better at everything every single day. Like, has a smile on his face. The same guy that you see when he comes out at the media that has that big smile on his face, like he's like that when he comes in my office every single day. So he's just a great communicator. He's somebody that's contagious to be around every day. Like his personality, and then the way that he can motivate the players and the way the players respond to him. I think it speaks volumes of the type of coach he is.
A couple more. When you started, I'm sure you had a vision for what you wanted the roster to look like. Mm-hmm. Heading into year 2, how close are you to that vision?
Like I said before, like I think no matter how good the roster ever gets, like we're never going to be content. We're always going to be turning over every stone and trying to find guys and exploring, just different options to get the roster better. So I don't think we're ever going to feel like we've arrived around here, and that's kind of the attitude that we need to have long-term success. The more hungry we can be as a scouting staff to go out there and find players and find diamonds in the rough and just find guys that fit us. It really doesn't matter what the other 31 teams like. As long as the guy fits us and he has the DNA that we want, that's really all we care about.
Just one more on Adam and the negotiations specifically. They felt very public, and I'm wondering what sort of challenges, if any, that does present to you when it feels like there's stuff coming out from.
Honestly, like. I was so in the negotiation part of it and like talking, with Adam and Adam's agent and talking with Kwesi, the GM of the Vikings. Like I didn't really see anything on the outside. Like I was just like focused on, okay, this is the goal, and then we're going to try to get to the goal. So that's kind of where my mind was.
Some of the moves,
and then we'll do Jeff.
Some of the moves here in the last couple days, actually, moving on from Adam, keeping 11 rookies, kind of suggests you're looking farther down the road and building this long term. But is this team also built to win now, or are you thinking more contending maybe in 26?
We're always going to be competing and contending, and this season is no different. I think the possibilities of the season, they're endless. So we're going to write our own story here, and how we write that depends on what we do out on the practice field every day, what we do off the field, and that's kind of what I said in the beginning is like we're going to have to earn everything. We can write our own story, but we're only going to do that by working hard and doing things the right way and being very detailed in everything that we do. And, that's coach's mindset. That's my mindset. Like, we got to go earn everything. And it's only earned by putting the work in.
Yep, looking at the third quarterback, reports out of Detroit suggested that Hooker was managing the team better during the offseason program and early parts of training camp, but was hesitant in his play during the preseason. Mm-hmm. What do you see in Hooker?
So myself and Coach Canales, like we see a still fairly young guy. I think he's 28 years old, 27, 28 years old. Sometimes it takes a change of scenery to come and, under a new coach, under, a new staff, just a breath fresh, a fresh breath, new air. For him to come in here and learn under Coach Canales and Coach Canales, the biggest thing is Coach Canales wants to develop and work with him. So I think, Dave's bought into that, Hendon's bought into that. We'll kind of see where it goes, and, that's why he's on our practice squad right now, because we think he has some really good traits to work with, and Coach really wants to work with him.
Last one, Big Sean.
I did have a follow on Hunter Renfro. You and Dave both mentioned your interest in bringing him back. Was there anything prior to the 53 he expressed that may have suggested any hesitation or just his status?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been talking to him. I think he's just trying to figure out what he wants to do, and whatever that means, I don't know. But he knows that we're interested in bringing him back. Doors open for him. If he wants to come back, we'd love to have him back. If not, I'll respect any decision that he makes. So that's where it's at right now.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Yep, no problem.